Hi, my name is Judy and I'm the City Stitcher, and welcome to my Flosstube channel. Today is Sunday, November the 13th, and it is a chilly, not too bad, chilly, not like frostingly chilly like it had been for most of last week. Chilly, but the sunshine is out, which means, guess what? With the sun being out, it means this room has warmed up enough that I can film here. Now, I did have to wait to about halfway through the afternoon for it to warm up enough, but I'm here with my poncho on and I think we're going to make it through. I also have that we're time restricted because we're only going to have light for so much. So I need to make this one of my shorter videos. Anyway. Okay, so we're going to get right in. This is a channel about cross stitch, counted cross stitch, and the stitching that I've done over the past week. If you are a new viewer, thank you for stopping by and spending some time with me. And as always, very grateful to those of you who regularly come back and check in with me and have lovely discussions with me in the comment section down below. So with that, let's talk. I have a couple of things following up on our topic from last week. So thank you to those of you who have chimed in on, several of you are planning on trying out the Johnson's oil gel. Let me know how it goes for you. As with anything, what works for me may not work for you. It's just like everything that we do in cross stitching. What works for person A may not work for person B, but you know, 9 out of 10 doctors, 4 out of 5 dentists, blah, blah, blah. It's okay to try something and go, not so much for me. I don't feel bad about the oil gel because it's really low cost attempting. Just a quick reminder, I never use that stuff on my hands. It's for like the other skin, as noted. The other thing I just wanted to say, a couple of you had commented that you were maybe going to try the Clinique body butter. Before you buy the tub, because it's not the most economical of choices, it's not the most expensive, but it's not the most economical. So before you buy the tub, ask at the counter if you can try it. So take a little bit. They probably won't have a sample that they can send home with you, but they should have something open where you can at least try it on your hands, walk around the store, go around the mall before you make the decision whether or not you're going to buy the tub of the Clinique body butter. Again, it may work for you, it may not work for you, and before you invest the money in that, give it a little bit of a try before you buy the whole tub. Sorry, I'm going to have to check off the things as I go through them. Hang on. I knew there was one more. Okay. Marcy left me a really great comment that she enjoyed when I was showing you how I apply my hand lotion, really just to the backs of my hands. Thank you for saying that you've done that as well and have done it for years. Sorry, excuse me. I only say that because usually when someone walks in on me applying the lotion to the back of my hands, they look at me like I've gone absolutely nuts. So it's nice to know there's at least one more of you out there who does it like I do. Okay. Somebody asked me, thank you for thinking that my complexion looks really nice. Thank you so much. I think that's a combination of my screen and your screen and 12 other things. But they asked me, what do I use for moisture for my face? I'm happy to share this. It's another Clinique product. So the one that Clinique likes to, you know, they go all on about is this dramatically different moisturizer. Ugh. This is, I know I have one. Why? Because I'm using it the stuff that I have. That's not my, I don't like it. Anyway, other than using up the samples that I've gotten, because I'm in a big, you know, kick on using up what's in the house, I don't use that. My moisturizer of choice for my face is this Clinique Moisture Surge. Yep, I've got the big tub. I love it. Why do I have the big tub? Because they had a smokingly fantastic deal. Anyway, this is my thing. My skin just goes, thank you. So yeah, this is my choice. Again, it doesn't take a lot. I, of course, apply it all over my face and on my neck. So yeah, a tub goes a long way. So that's my face moisturizer of choice. Not the Dramatically Different, because the Dramatically Different, my face goes blech. I use it because I'm using it up because I have it. I also keep those little tubes because when I have to do business traveling, that's usually sort of you can just shove it in and keep going. I've lost my pen. Okay, so there's that one. Man, I should have organized these. There's that one. That was for Amy. Lala made the comment about she regularly uses gloves when she's doing her chores and all that kind of stuff, and she's recently started to apply the hand lotion, and she's going, man, does that make a huge difference? And I'm like, I am right there with you. Once you learn how much of a difference it makes, after you're done your chores and you take your hands out of those gloves and your hands just feel amazing, it's like awesome. She also made a comment that she's found a cream that uses ceramides, and that's made a huge difference. So I have made a note of that. I will actually, if you've got a brand that you like, can you throw that down in the comment section down below? Because it'd be interesting to try that. Okay. Mandy also had a comment. For hand lotions that are safe for stitching, she's recommending a brand called Seams. Now it's Seams, and she's in the UK, so she wasn't sure if it was available here in Canada or North America. I will confess I didn't look it up to see if it was available, because I'm on my kick to use the stuff that I've got. But I have made a note of that, so I will have a look and see if that is available. To Deb, the traveling stocking stitcher, her comment was fantastic. It was like, your comment about your hair and Flosstube was hilarious, because it was hilarious and spot on. As she's a fellow Flosstuber, she knows exactly that you learn things about your hair doing Flosstube. And she said, I put cult in quotes. It's like, yes, I'm still going community. Jerry, thank you for your comment. She's very familiar with Art to Heart from a quilting perspective, so she was now off to check out their cross-stitch charts. Upside is there's only 24 of them, so at least it won't take you hours and hours to get through that. And H. Eden left a comment that she's recently bought a DMC color card with the actual floss inside of it, and it was coming this week, so I hope that's arrived to you. I love mine. I use mine regularly. It's like it's out more than it's put away. I know it doesn't really make any sense, but it is. So I hope you love yours as much as I love mine. All right. Okay. That's it for the comments from last week. As always, if you have comments, questions, topics you'd like me to discuss, throw them down in the comment section down below. I'm happy to address those. With that, let's get into my stitching, because like I say, we're going to lose the light here in a bit, so I need to go. So last Sunday was November the 6th, and for those of you that are regular watchers, you know that the 6th of every month is the day that I am using to work on my memorial pieces for Queen Elizabeth II, who passed away in September. So I am working on French Country Crown. So all of this technically was done on October the 6th. I had that finished, but that's not the end of my piece, so it still doesn't count as a finish. Oops. So what did I do this week? So this is the week that I added my Elizabeth II, 1926 to 2022, all done in beads. So that part has been added. I did this. This was relatively easy to chart up because this chart is from the French Country series. So she's got French Country, fill in the blank. I feel like there's like 47, 82 charts that are French Country something. So for free on the JBW Designs website is a French country alphabet. So I just used that alphabet to chart this out. I did sort of revise her capital I to make it more look like what I wanted it to look like. And these are the numbers from that French country alphabet as well. So that was easy to do. Now, I am not done yet. There is one more thing I'm going to add on here to the bottom, and you're going to see that when I stitch on this on December the 6th, because I am expecting, so the answer is there's one more thing that I need to do. I'm going to do it on December the 6th, and regardless of how long that takes me, I don't care if it takes me till like 4 a.m. the morning of the 7th to get it done. It will be done on December the 6th. I will have this third part in there, and it'll be interesting to see what you think. I'm thrilled with my idea. I'm 100% certain it's going to look awesome. I'm going to be so happy with this when it's complete. So that is my French country crown in memoriam for Queen Elizabeth II. Done on a 28 count navy Lugana using Mill Hill Petite Beads 42010. I've done it again. I have not set myself up for a good, hang on just a second, for a good where to put the things. Okay, so then next up, so that brings us to Monday. So it was time to work on my sampler of stitches. This is a series of 9 charts by the Drawn Thread. I am doing this as a stitch along with Sarah, the Stitchin' Mommy, as always. Very grateful to Sarah for coming up with this idea because it's worked out really well for me. I am working on chart number 9. I'm on the letter, well, anyway, I'm on chart number 9. So where did I get to? So last week, so this is chart number 9. Last week I was to do this half of the letter Y. And I did well. Sorry, I had a moment. I just looked at it and went, where is it? Which makes no sense at all. Anyway, there it is. So there is my Y. Okay, this took me longer than I thought it was going to take. So the tops of the flowers are just plain old cross stitch. The stems, sort of the curly cues here and straight up, those are just regular back stitching. The only specialty stitch was, I want to call them diagonal Y stitches. No. No. Oh no, that must be diagonal Y stitches. There we go. Diagonal Y stitches. Yes, that's what they're called. So that's all of these leaves here on that. So like I say, it took longer than expected, but I did get it done. So we're still on track, which is great. And I feel like there's a lot. Let me just adjust this a little bit down. There we go. I feel that's a little bit better. All right. So there's my Y. So my task for tonight's stitching on this is to move on to the letter Z. Yeah, I'm a Canadian, so it's the letter Z, not Z, Z. You know, like ZZ top. Anywho. So my plan is to do this. Now, I am not going to enjoy this at all because it's got the centers of these things are those diagonal chain or zigzag chain stitches. You know I'm good with a chain stitch that goes vertically or a diagonal stitch that goes horizontally. The alternating directions I don't do well at, but I'm going to suffer through it and get it done. So I'm going to do all of this is my goal for tonight's stitching, because then when I come back to do Z, I feel like this is going to be a reasonable stitch for me. So we're going to focus on this. Dun, dun, dun. We're making progress. All right. So then I went back to my cottage of the month. This is the November Cottage by Country Cottage Needleworks. I'm doing this on a 32 count Icelandic Blue linen by Wichelt. I worked on it several days this week. It's not done yet, which is okay. You'll see why in a bit. But there's my cottage. I am at, as of last night, I was at 83%. So coming along, so between Monday, Tuesday, this should be a finish. But it's coming along. I am using all of the called for colors for this one. Now, for those of you who have the eagle eyes, you may have noticed that I made a little bit of a change here. So on this side, there was supposed to be a turkey. Now, generally, I think the turkey in November really is because Americans celebrate Thanksgiving in November. I, as a Canadian, we celebrate Thanksgiving in October. And so generally when I look at a turkey in November, I always go, it's weird. Why a turkey in November? In my head, I intellectually know, but when I look at things, I go like, what's the turkey doing in November? So I took the turkey out, and all I did was I replicated the acorns from here and just put them over here. It's balanced, it's symmetrical, which we all know I have a thing about. And no turkey. So that's my Canadian adjustment to the November cottage of the month, is the removal of the turkey. If you don't like turkeys at the best of times, there you go. Just copy the acorns. All right. Then on Wednesday, of course, it was work on my Chatelaine Designs Tiny Marie Antoinette gate, which I was doing as a SAL. You may have been able to guess by, well, actually from the picture on this one, as well as the title, that this is a finish for me. So there is my complete Tiny Marie Antoinette gate. This is a freebie design from Chatelaine Designs. Now, I'm not going to go into all the detail on this because it's going to come up when we get to the topic, but I just figured, you know, actually, let's do that. So there is my finish, which was great. It's a small little thing. Took a lot of time though. We'll get to that. So because I finished a chart, that means I got to do a reward. And for those of you who have been watching regularly, you know that at the moment, what I'm doing as my reward system is I am working on things, instruments from Musical Christmas by Artistic Needle. This is an out-of-print chart. I am doing this table runner on the called for 28 count Christmas Shenandoah linen. And this is where it gets interesting, because the real answer is I don't exactly remember which one I did. But so I did my trumpet number 2. Now, whether this is trumpet number 2 or trumpet number 1, it's hard to tell because this is the other one and they are, of course, identical. So I sat down and knocked that one out. You know, as I've said before, these instruments, you can do one of these in an evening stitching easily. So there you go. There we go. 4 and 4. It's very exciting. All I have left to do is my center square and the cottage. The cottage of the month is going to be completed this week. So don't be surprised if you see Musical Christmas coming out again next Sunday. All right. So then on Friday, which was November the 11th, Remembrance Day. Now I already have a project that I started in September, which I work on the 11th of every month, which is Remember 911 by Just Nan. So this, I'm just having a look. Yeah, hang on a minute. Let me adjust one thing because it needs a board. Which French country crown is on what I need. Yes, note to self, maybe find another board. Speed things up. It looks like I didn't put it on here evenly, but you'll all be fine with that. So there is my Remember 911. So what did I get done on Friday? So I filled in, if you remember a couple of weeks ago, I showed you my stash and I got the one missing Soie d'Alger that I needed for this particular chart. So I finished filling in the center of these pansies. The three pansies, of course, are to represent the three buildings that were hit in 9/11. I finished the cross stitches here with the Soie Perlee, both on this end and over here and all along the bottom. I outlined the three pansies. I did the diamond eyelets, and then I did all of band number 2. So I felt like I had pretty good progress on that piece. As I've said before, when I was doing band 1, it felt like it took forever, and it did take forever because I started this on September 11th. So September, October, November, three days worth of stitching to get that that band complete. Upside is I at least got another whole band complete below it. So this of course is going away until December 11th, when it will come back out again, because I'm only working on this on the 11th of every month. But I feel like we're now, you know, because it took me so long to get that first one, I feel like we're now going into, I'm going to enjoy doing these bands. Like I say, band number 2 came together quite quickly, and it was, got that all knocked off, and I felt like I had accomplished something on that piece. Now, the interesting thing about November 11th is because I had also targeted November 11th, because it was a statutory holiday here in Canada, for a new start. I know I have lots of whips. I should probably be working on the whips, but I targeted it for a new start for a couple of reasons. One, my November piece from 2021 was finished, so I felt like I had an opening for another project. And I have been wanting to start this for a very, very long time, and November the 11th seemed like the perfect day to start it. So this is what I started. This is Vimy Ridge by Jeanette Douglas Designs. Now, she designed this for the 100th anniversary of the Battle of Vimy Ridge, which was in 2017, which is why when you see here it says 2017 to 2017. When I get to that part, I am still going to put it in as 2017 to 2017. But that's the reasoning behind why she designed this chart. So I am doing this on a 32 count vintage Stormy Clouds Lugana, which of course is not the called for, but I am using the called for fibers. Now, I chose the Stormy Clouds for a couple of reasons. One, the called for was flax. The called for was 36 count flax, which you know is a non-starter for me because it's, you know, brown. And I wanted it to sort of, because for me, I go, it's remembrance of a battle during World War I, and, you know, a bright sunshiny sky felt a little bit weird. So I did it on Vintage Stormy Clouds to add moodiness. We'll see how it works out. So I got half of the monument stitched up. I got the Canadian maple leaf done, and I got the British flag. Jeanette. All of the flags here in band number 1 are all done 1/1, which is why I did it this way. I did this and went, okay, do 1/1 flag. Then I'm going to do the right hand side of the monument and do the Canadian flag 1/1. Then I'm going to do the base of the monument and then do the French flag 1/1. Gives me a little break between the 1/1s. So so I started this on Friday, and I did the 1/1 flag last night on Saturday. So very happy with my start and my progress on this. We'll see how well I do. One interesting thing of note on this, which will surprise several of you, this is my favorite chart of all time of Jeanette's. Now, just here's a little clarification. I didn't say that this was my favorite design of Jeanette's, because that's like there's a 10-way tie for that spot. But this is my favorite chart. Favorite. I love this chart so much because she goes into a lot of detail about what every element in this design is about, why she chose it, why it is placed where it is, sort of the colors that have been used. I love reading this chart. I've read it several times since I purchased it, but I love reading this chart. Love it. So from band number 1, I'm just going to read this one thing. In recent times, the Canadian National Vimy Memorial has come to symbolize Canada's long commitment to peace in the world, as well as its stand against aggression and for liberty and the rule of international law. Inscribed on the ramparts of the memorial are the names of the 11,285 Canadian soldiers who were posted missing, presumed dead in France. So again, it's just that there's something for every band about what the meaning is and why she did this. So my maternal great-grandfather fought in World War I. I actually had him up going, I should maybe check and see if he had anything to do with this, but I don't know. I haven't done that research. But like I say, my great-grandfather fought in World War I. So as I work my way through Vimy Ridge, you will get to have some of the learnings. Well, as I say, the interesting things that Jeanette has noted in her chart about all of the things that she's put into this design. She put a lot of thought into it, as she does with most of her designs. I would say, it's not that she doesn't put a lot of designs in. Like, there's a couple, like I certainly know of one she's actually working on right now, which she knows exactly what it is. It's a relatively simple design, and it's not that she hasn't put any thought into it, but this is one where you really needed to do a lot of thinking to pull it all together and incorporate all of the elements, which I truly appreciate. And like I say, this is my favorite chart. I've read through this chart multiple times before I've started stitching on it, and I really look forward to stitching each of these elements and reading about them yet again. So that is Vimy Ridge by Jeanette Douglas Designs. I am using the called for threads because I did buy the thread pack when I got the chart. So I'm just going to throw them up. So this is the color palette. So far I haven't changed anything. Yeah, I know it's early days, but anyway. So there's my Vimy Ridge I'm thrilled, 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 thrilled that I have finally gotten this piece started. And I'm really hoping it works out well on this Vintage Stormy Clouds Lugana, because I don't know that I'm going to want to stitch it twice because there's over one stuff multiple times. Anyway, thanks, Jeanette. All right, let's get into Stashquisitions. Okay, so my Stashquisitions, you'll laugh, is that I'm showing this week because I'm doling them out, you know, a bit at a time. Oh, yes. I did this because okay. So I've shown purchases from Dying for Cross Stitch before. My friend and I got together. We did another order. So this is Denim Medium on 32 count Lugana by Dying for Cross Stitch. I got this. So this is a direct result of the colors that my friend got in the last order. I liked the denim medium so much I had to get a piece for me. So yeah, love that. Then I got a piece of, this is called Interstellar Dark. So it's a dark navy with a purple undertone. Love it, love it, love it, love it. What am I planning on putting this on? Sorry, this is Interstellar Dark on 28 count Lugana. It's not 32. This is a 28 count Lugana. What am I planning on putting on this? Mirabilia's Shakespeare's Fairies is my plan for what I'm putting on this. Love it, love it, love it. And then the last piece, which is a color you've seen before because my friend bought it. And because I saw it, I went, now I need some. This is Barnwood Light on 32 count Lugana. Which for me may feel like it's a little bit, you know, brown. It's actually got quite a plummy undertone to it. Now, this is where it's going to get interesting. See if I can't pull this off. Because what I did, so this is going to go live in a project bag, which is going to be considered kitted but not committed. This doesn't look right at all. No, this is not right. Oh, I pulled the wrong one. Oh, I thought I had the DMC out. It's got to be sitting in the back of the bag. Sorry, this isn't going to work out at all. I thought I had pulled out the DMC for this project so I could show you what it looked like because it looks fantastic on this, but that's not what I pulled. The DMC here is the DMC I bought at Michael's. All right, sorry about that. Big taunt, no show, but it's lovely. The project that this is for a project called Autumn Wreath. It's for a chart that I got off of Etsy, and they are atypical fall colors. So your standard sort of olivey green, rust, red, yellow, oranges, none of those colors appear in the palette for this particular fall wreath. And it is a fall wreath. Anyway, I'm so disappointed. And it's not handy. It's not handy at all. It's got to be in the other room. Which, this is the DMC that led me to believe I'd pulled it out, but this isn't it. As soon as I looked at the colors, I went, this is really wrong. When we did stitching at the library, I stopped off at the Michaels because I had a list of the DMC that I was missing to finish kitting up my 2023 DMCs. And so I bought those. So these are the, it's just a bunch of DMCs. I got the DMCs that I needed for my 2023 charts. And because these were colors that I couldn't pull from stash, it also said to me, you have a hole in your stash. So for some of these, there are more skeins here than needed because I'm filling in holes. But some of them, there's certainly one color. I think it's this 150. I think I needed 4 skeins of that alone for my project for 2023. So there you go. There's an extra one to add to my stash. So these were the ones to finish kitting up DMC for 2023. Yeah, so the nice thing about showing this on Flosstube is now that I've shown it to you, I can put them all into their projects, and then I can put the rest of them back into the stash with the DMC, so I'm ready to go for my next stuff that I need to start kitting. We're going to talk about that in 2 weeks. The last thing I have to show you is this. I went to a craft sale, and there are some ladies there that I know. I'm a very good craft sale attendee and have attended them for years and years and years and years. And this one booth, these ladies, I've shopped there multiple times. They've seen me many, many, many years. So we are craft sale friends. So we have a good chat every time I go to a craft sale and they're there. So while I was there, they make jewelry with dichroic glass, which is what this is. And they have these little dishes on their tables, which are to just throw onto a chain and wear as a necklace. But so I went through the dishes. I found one that I really liked, and I said to the ladies, can you take because it's just set in a wire setting. And I said, can you take the wire setting off of it? I just want the piece of glass. And they had the tools. They had the tools there, right there in their booth, which was great, because then it didn't mean that I had to come home. And since they're the ones who made it, they knew how to get it off, no problem. It took them like a minute to get it off. And I walked out of there with my piece of dichroic glass, which I, of course, turned into a needle minder. So it's a little thick. So this is one of those needle minders again where this is probably too heavy. The needle stays on it, no problem. This is one where the needle threader can fall off a little easier, but it's lovely, 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 lovely. So those are my stash acquisitions for this week. So we are now into the topic. Let's talk about what did I learn from my Chatelaine SAL. So I am a big proponent that you can take everything that you're doing and that there's something to be learned. Sometimes the learnings are positive, sometimes the learnings are negative, but there's always something to be learned and gained from what you've done. So, whoops. I'm having that moment going, where is my... There it is. Okay, so here's the picture that I've been showing you for the Tiny Marie Antoinette gate. And I'm just getting my notes out. Oh, sorry. Big lie. There's one more thing that I got for stash. It's gonna strike you as odd. I was at Winners, which is the Canadian version of TJ Maxx. Oops. And they had this sleigh. And it's all decorated and festive, and I loved this, and I loved that it was a white sleigh and everything else. And so now it's just screaming for a piece of cross stitch to go down here. I don't know what that piece of cross stitch is, but I saw it in the store. I thought it was lovely. And as everybody knows, with Winners here in Canada or TJ Maxx, like when you see it, you buy it, because if you go back, it's probably not going to be there. So I bought it. It came home. So I'm now looking for a Christmas design that will go with this. This is 9 inches, the spot available is 9 inches high by 7 inches wide. So if any of you have brilliant suggestions about things that I should stitch to put on this, I just went, yes, it's just screaming for a cross stitch thing down here. I don't know what that is yet, but I bought it while it was available. Okay, now I'm done the stash positions. All right, really we're into the topic. So here is my finished piece. It's quite blingy. So what did I learn by doing this piece? This is not my first Chatelaine Designs piece. I showed you Egypt when we were talking about Chatelaine designs. I'm currently sort of working on Polar. I haven't worked on Polar in a while again. Anyway, so what did I learn? So step number 1, there were a lot of very fancy called for fibers to do this. I used the only called for color that I used in this design was the Rainbow Gallery Petite Treasure Braid 02, which I used in the eyelets here in the outer border. The gold Rainbow Gallery Petite Treasure Braid that I used to do this outer edging as well as sort of the tops of these gates is not the called for. It is a Rainbow Gallery Petite Treasure Braid, just not the called for color. And in terms of everything else, everything but what I used for these eyelets here is plain old DMC. Now, that's not true. These eyelets and these road stitches here in the outer border. As soon as I said that, it's like, that's not quite right. I used two over-dyed colors. But everything else is done with regular DMC. And I think DMC oftentimes is looked down upon, right? It's not the fancy floss. It's not an over-dyed silk. It's not an over-dyed cotton. Most people go, it's just plain old DMC. DMC can be very effective, And I don't, again, for Chatelaine designs, there's a lot of discussion in the Chatelaine Facebook group about, is it okay if I don't get all of the fancy stuff? If you want to see my views on that, go back and look at my Chatelaine Designs episode. I don't remember what number that is. And for a lot of it, plain DMC, regular DMC is just fine. And I don't think this design suffers at all from the fact that for the most part I used DMC. I think it looks just great. That's me. The beads are also, all of these beads are from my stash, so none of these are the called for beads. I went through them and went, okay, I need a pink, I need 2 colors of green. I think these ones I used here in the outer border, they're probably a little larger than they should be, but again, for a piece this size, there's no way I was going out and buying special beads for this. I like them. They're very sparkly, I must say. The ones here in the corner, these are the ones that I located. These are leftovers from my Egypt mandala project. Now, I didn't have 4 of any of the colors, so I just used 2 aqua ones and I used 2 gold ones. I think it's just fine. In terms of, when I originally talked about this in October that I was going to do this as participate in this stitch along for the Tiny Marie and Twinette Gate, because I was going to assess it in terms of how much did I feel it was really like using, stitching a regular chatelaine. And not bad. There's an interesting thing. When you download this particular freebie, the stitch diagrams don't come along. So for me, who's done a lot of specialty stitches, that wasn't a problem. And I'd done other chatelaine stuff, so it wasn't a problem for me. But I think for a new person, if you got in there and you looked at these, you know, these things on your chart that you didn't understand, I think it would be harder. Now, with the not freebies, so for any of the other charts, you do get the stitch diagrams along with it. It was just with this freebie you didn't get the stitch diagrams. You know, so it's not bad. It's not bad in terms of like, what is it like using a chatelaine? For me, I think this really highlighted, which is something I already thought, the download, you only get the download as a color version. I'm saying that right now going, I don't know. Certainly when I loaded it up into Markup RXP, I only uploaded the color because for me, the color is so critical so that you can see much, much clearer what those, you know, where you're back stitching and what fibers are being used for what stitches because they are color coded on the color version. So for me, getting a color chart is critical to being successful at a chatelaine designs. You know, and that was just reinforced with this one because it was much easier when you looked at these specialty stitches because they were color coded differently. If you get a paper chart, which is only in black and white, figuring out some of those is much, 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 much harder. In terms of beading, so this little thing, which I want to say is what, three and a bit by 2.5 inches of a rectangle. There are 180 beads that went into this project. How do I know that? Because it's in, you know, Markup RXP. Now, don't get me wrong. It's very blingy, which as my light is fading, it's harder to tell, but it's very blingy. There's all my lovely beads. Beads in the outside, you know, beads all along this border, beads in this outer border, and then of course the center of the flowers are beads as well. So yeah, not bad. It is what I would call, it's a taste of chatelaine. So if you're contemplating a chatelaine, I think this is a pretty good start, right? You can download this for free. It's free right now. I don't know that it will be free forever, but you can download it for free and try it out and see if you like it. If you're okay with doing this, that's probably when you're in a good position to move on to one of the more complicated, larger chatelaine designs. But I think, and again, for something of this size, I've said it before, I'll say it again, whatever you do, do not go out and buy the 47 called, it's not 47, but there are a lot of called for specialty fibers for this chart. Don't do that. Do this from stash. Now, I'm fortunate that I do have beads for stash. Not everybody does. So that may, you know, you may need to go out and sort of up your bead stash a little bit. But for me, everything from here came from stash, which I thought was great. So it was an interesting experience. I'm glad that I've completed it because now I can move on to other things. So really on Wednesday night, I sat down and I went, you are finishing this. You are finishing these beads and the beads and the beads and the beads and the beads. One little note, which in hindsight, because these beads are sort of above each other all along here on the border, I probably would have gone back through and sort of done, run my thread through the two combined. Now I haven't done that. I'm not planning on going back and doing that again. But if you haven't hit that point on yours, my recommendation is, yes, attach the top one, do the bottom one, and then do one through the two combined because it'll make them align very clearly. I did put my initials in 2022 down here at the bottom in the gold metallic. And now I'm going to take a page out of Cheryl from Happy Handcraft Studio. I am now off to find a small gold frame that this will fit in and see if I can't turn it into an FFO by the end of the year. So don't get your hopes up that this is happening like imminently, like it's not going to happen by next week, but hopefully I will be able to turn this into an FFO by the end of the year. I'm running out of light. I don't have my ring light to turn on. So we need to wrap this up lickety-split. So last two things about Chatelaine Designs. European Cross Stitch, which is the company where you can buy entire kits for your Chatelaine designs, or you can just buy bead packs or select groupings of specialty fibers for your Chatelaine. Their November sale is on starting November the 15th. It is 10% off, and it runs from November the 15th to November the 30th. You do not need a code to get the 10% off. So that's their sale. And then Chatelaine Designs themselves, they've sent out their notification that they're going to have their Black Friday sale, which runs from November 25th to November 28th. You do need a code for this in order to get the 20% off. So this is where I'm recommending, if you're going to do a Chatelaine Designs, buy the PDF from Chatelaine Designs. I will put a link to both European Cross Stitch and Chatelaine Designs in the notes section below. The code to get the 20% discount on your chart is only from Chatelaine Designs, and it is Friday 2022. So if you're interested in that, November is a great month because you at least have the opportunity to buy some of your stuff on sale, and there you go. So that's it for me. We're really running out of light here, so I need to wrap this up. Thank you for stopping by and spending some time with me. As always, thinking of the people of the Ukraine. The battle continues. Was looking at, I'm going to say it wrong, Stitchy Princess Black, Stitchy Black, anyway, the one, she's over in the Ukraine, she's in Kherson, and how happy they are that the Ukrainian forces have been able to retake that. So as always, thinking of the people of the Ukraine. Man, I've been saying this for a really long time. Anyway, thinking of the people who are recovering from the many hurricanes and tropical storms that are going on. As always, across the world, there are always interesting things going on. So you know my line, safety first, safety first, safety first. I hope you're staying safe. I hope you're staying healthy. I forgot one thing, stitching at the library. I've been able to book the library for Saturday, November the 29th from 9:30 to 12:30. So if you're in the greater Calgary area and you want to come, feel free to stop in. You don't need to let me know in advance that you're coming. We've got room for more. So if that's something that interests you, stop on by. Okay, now we're wrapping up. Safety first. I hope you're staying safe. I hope you're staying healthy. I hope you're finding some time to do your stitching and that your stitching is bringing you enjoyment, mental health, stress relief, fun, challenges if you're looking for them. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Take care, guys.